All right, get ready to dive into the world of Ethereum.
Yeah, this is big.
We're going deep into Vitalik Buterin's 2014 white paper.
This document, it's really the foundation of a whole decentralized future.
It's more than just a cryptocurrency, right?
Oh, absolutely. Way more. This is a platform designed to support, well, any decentralized application you can imagine.
That's a bold vision. Back in 2014, Bitcoin was still pretty new itself.
Right. And Buterin was already thinking bigger, further down the line. We can do so much more, he said. I think he saw the potential of blockchain beyond just digital currency early on.
He saw a decentralized internet powered by code.
Exactly. Where we could reimagine things from finance to governance, all built on this, foundation of decentralized trust.
Now, you might be thinking, do I need to be a coding whiz to get this?
Not at all. The white paper, it does get technical, but the ideas are actually pretty intuitive. But to really appreciate Ethereum's brilliance, we got to touch on what it improved upon. Let's look at Bitcoin.
Okay, so Bitcoin.
Think of its blockchain like a ledger, a sophisticated one for sure. It's great for transactions, keeping track of them, but not that flexible for more complex applications.
Gotcha. Like you can build a house out of Legos, but it's not the same as a building made for, living in.
Exactly. Ethereum changes the game with something called a Turing-complete programming language built right into the blockchain itself.
Turing complete.
Please.
Sounds impressive. But in practice, what does that even mean?
Imagine this. Developers can write any program, anything they can dream up, and it runs on this network, securely, autonomously. That's the power of Turing completeness. It opens up, endless possibilities. Bitcoin's scripting language, it just couldn't do that.
So we're talking about way more than just simple transactions here.
Right. With Ethereum, you can create self-executing contracts, even entirely new types of organizations, decentralized, of course.
A whole new digital landscape, really.
And even Buterin said he couldn't have predicted all the potential uses.
And that's where it gets really interesting. So we've talked about how Ethereum can be used for a lot more than just transactions, that it's like building a whole new digital world. But how does that actually work? What are the nuts and bolts that make it all possible?
Well, it starts with Ethereum accounts.
Okay, so like the accounts I have at a bank?
Not exactly, no. So Ethereum has two different types: externally owned accounts and contract accounts. Think of it like the difference between, say, individuals and businesses.
Interesting. I'm picturing a city here. People and companies all interacting.
Perfect analogy. Your externally owned account, that's you, controlled by your private keys. It's how you do everything on Ethereum, like sending Ether or using apps. Contract accounts, those are a bit different. They're run by code, automatically, based on rules that are set up beforehand.
So like if I'm sending Ether to a friend, that's my externally owned account talking to theirs.
Exactly. And we call those communications on Ethereum messages. You remember we talked about transactions earlier. Think of messages as the bigger category. Any instruction on Ethereum. Transactions are just messages that are digitally signed from an external account. That's what makes them more secure.
Gotcha. So a contract, it can send a message, but it needs a transaction from me to get started.
You got it. And this is where things get clever. Even Bitcoin transactions, they have those small fees, right? In Ethereum, everything you do, every little computation, it has a cost, and it's paid in gas.
Gas, like what I put in my car.
Kinda, yeah. Think of gas as the fuel of the Ethereum network. Running a simple transaction or even a really complicated program, it all requires gas.
So even if I send just a tiny amount of Ether, there's still a gas fee.
That's right. The network's got to process that, update everything, make sure it all runs smoothly. And naturally, the more complex the operation, the more gas it uses.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like paying for the, what do they call it, computational effort. Okay, but what stops someone from writing code that runs forever? Like an infinite loop, wouldn't that mess everything up?
You're right on the money with that question. It's a big one when we're talking about Turing-complete platforms. But Ethereum has a solution, and it's all connected to gas. Basically, you set a limit on how much gas you'll spend on a transaction or running a contract. So if the code tries to run forever, it hits that limit and stops. That prevents it from clogging up the network.
So it's like, I'm giving my code a budget for fuel. I like it. But couldn't people manipulate that? What's stopping them from just outbidding everyone else to make their stuff go faster?
That's where gas price comes in. Gas price isn't really an extra fee. It's more like a way for users to signal how fast they need their transaction processed. Miners, they're the ones adding blocks to the chain, right? They prioritize transactions with a higher gas price because it means more rewards for them.
Oh, so it's kind of like an auction. The more I pay, the faster my transaction goes through.
Exactly. It's dynamic, keeps the network running smoothly, and gives users control. Now, I know what you're thinking. All this talk of gas fees and potential manipulation, is Turing completeness really worth it? Wouldn't it be easier to just have a simpler system?
Yeah, it's a good question. We've talked about how powerful Turing completeness is, how flexible it is, but everything comes with a trade-off, right?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Power versus control. A less powerful system, yeah, it might be easier to predict what it does, but it limits what you can build. Turing completeness, it's like a vast landscape of possibilities, but you got to know what you're doing.
You need to be responsible, aware of the risks. It's not just about writing code, it's about understanding the bigger picture, right?
Absolutely. That's what makes this whole space so fascinating. It's not just tech. It's about how we use these tools to build a better future, a decentralized future.
It's a future full of potential, and we're really just getting started. Okay, so we've got the building blocks down. Now I want to talk about what we can actually DO with all of this. Okay, we've gone deep on the tech side of Ethereum accounts, gas, Turing completeness. Now for the fun part, right? What can we actually do with this? What's the real-world impact?
This is where it gets really exciting. We're not just talking theory anymore. We're talking about applications that could change, well, everything. Industries, how we interact online. It's big.
All right, you got me hooked. Give me some examples.
Let's start with something that seems simple, but it's huge. Tokens. We talked about Ethereum being programmable, right? Well, that means you can create digital tokens that represent, well, almost anything. It's not just about a new kind of cryptocurrency.
Oh, not just like a digital dollar or something.
Exactly. Think owning a piece of digital art, verifying a luxury good, even proving your identity online. All of that with unique tokens secured by the blockchain.
So I could have a token that shows I own, like a digital painting, or even virtual land in a metaverse.
Exactly. And you can trade these tokens, sell them, even divide them up. It creates a whole new economy. And it doesn't stop there. Ethereum lets us build like sophisticated financial tools that could completely change how we think about finance itself.
Financial tools.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of complicated.
Yeah.
Got an example I can wrap my head around.
Sure. Let's say you're worried about the price of Ether going up and down. It's volatile, right? Well, with Ethereum, you can use what's called a hedging contract to protect yourself.
Hedging contract. Is that like insurance for my crypto?
You got it. Imagine setting up a smart contract that automatically sells your Ether if the price drops below a certain point. It takes the emotion out of trading.
That's wild. It's like having a safety net built right into the system. Okay, but what about something even bigger picture? We talked about DAOs earlier. Are those as futuristic as they sound?
DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, they're definitely one of the most exciting things about Ethereum. Imagine an organization, no bosses, decisions made by the members, and everything runs on smart contracts.
No CEOs. Is that even possible?
That's the beauty. The code, the rules in the smart contract, that's what's in charge. It makes DAOs transparent, accountable, really efficient too.
Sounds like a recipe for a much more equal future.
That's the potential. There are challenges, of course, but DAOs could change how we think about governance, about how communities work, even how businesses are run.
It's mind-blowing, and it feels like we're just scratching the surface.
We are. That's what's so great about what Buterin started with his white paper. Ethereum, it's not just a technology, it's a platform for innovation.
A launch pad for ideas that could change everything. I've got to say, this deep dive has been eye-opening. Ethereum is way more than just a cryptocurrency. It's a glimpse into the future.
It is. And the best part, we're still so early. What we've talked about today, it's just the beginning. As more people discover Ethereum, who knows what amazing applications we'll see?
It's a future we get to build. And to everyone listening, we want you to be a part of it. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Ethereum. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and until next time, keep innovating.